Look who's back from Common Sense Magazine. He's the executive editor, Chris Bedford. It's good to see you, Chris. Okay, it's happening right now. The president is speaking at the White House St. Patty's Day party. It features pop singer Neil Horan. He's from the band One Direction. We've got a bank crisis, high inflation. The president is still not going to the toxic crash in East Palestine. We get it. St. Patty's Day parties. We get it. But what do you think of all this amid all these crises?
It's certainly not a good look at all. I mean, there's a couple different ways to celebrate St. Patrick's Day, and one of the traditional ways is muted at home alone with a bottle of whiskey. Maybe that's what the president ought to be doing if he's not attending to these banking crises, if he's not interested in what's going on in Palestine, if he's not actually interested in the country. I mean, having an Irish president on St. Patrick's Day, hosting the Irish Taoiseach, wanting to have a celebration makes sense. But at the time the country is in crisis, maybe they should skip on that. It's a bad look for those people who are about to lose a lot.
And then you've got Politico reporting Homeland Security Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas partied with MSNBC Wednesday night at a swanky D.C. restaurant. At the same time, Border Chief Raul Ortiz testified at a House field hearing that, quote, the U.S. has lost operational control of the border, and he says, quote, it is in crisis.
Well, yeah, they've lost operational control of the border, but they still have operational control of most of the corporate media. If people aren't tuning in right now to this show or tuning in to Fox, that most of them don't even realize that there's a crisis at the border because there's been a complete and total shutdown of news from places like MSNBC where he was partying. So for him to go over there and say and shake hands and give hugs and allow them to continue hiding this crisis for him, that might be a good move for him politically, but it's a terrible move for the country. When we have fentanyl pouring over, we've lost control, there's human smuggling. It's a very sad and dangerous place in our southern border.
So in the northern border, we've got now a tenfold increase in people crossing at the northern border as the head of basically what's going on with ISIS in Afghanistan. Our generals are saying that they are 6 months away from capability of an attack on the West.
You know, the northern border is something that we've long ignored. It's because there's no economic crisis. There's no failed state to our north. But it's still a great place for smuggling, whether smuggling humans, smuggling weapons, smuggling drugs. So it's not something that's always been paid close attention to. I grew up in New England, and it was fairly easy to cross that border if you wanted to. And that's something that terrorists, of course, could take advantage of. We like to think of as things like ISIS in our rearview mirror. We've done a good job at disrupting their intelligence networks, but there's still an ideology out there that is a threat, and people need to be vigilant for that.
You know what really kills people is what's going on with East Palestine, Ohio. I mean, that's just a toxic waste of a crash from that railroad crash in Norfolk Southern. I mean, look at the White House schedule again. The president's schedule, non-essential events, Pete Buttigieg going to a Clinton Global Initiative. And then he finally goes to East Palestine the day after Trump visits, right? I mean, and so we've got Kamala Harris on the Late Show instead of visiting the crisis at the border. So it just feels like who's on the stick down there in D.C.?
I don't understand what's going on in East Palestine. Is there something more dangerous about this train crash than we know, that they don't want the president going there? This seems like a political layup for Democrats. Joe Biden gave a pretty MAGA populist State of the Union speech. They've lost a lot of the white working class. This is an issue that involves pollution and regulation and infrastructure. It's everything they should want to talk about, but they refuse. It's political malfeasance.
Got it. Chris Bedford, happy St. Patrick's Day. It's good to have you on. It's good to see you.